Hi, everyone. Welcome back to our spiritual sojourn. Thank you for joining us today. And today we have a guest with us. This is Jillian, and I've known Jillian for a few years now through the Awkwardly Zen meetup. And we've invited Jillian to come today specifically to talk about dreams. Because last week, if you remember, we were talking about sometimes our guides talk to us through our dreams. And we thought, what better way to help understand that than to have someone who understands dream interpretation? Hey, Tom, glad you're with us too. This is my wonderful co host,
Hi,
Tom.
Lori. I'm glad to be here.
Hi,
And welcome
glad
to
you're here.
Jillian.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah, hi,
excited.
I'm really happy to be here. Thanks for having me.
Yes. Now, Jillian, you live actually in the Seattle area, right?
Correct. Yeah,
Okay.
I live
And
north of Seattle.
Jillian has some incredible skills. She is a traditional trained Reiki master as well as animal Reiki and crystal healing experience. She also uses pendulums. She also does chakra element and space clearings. She also works with dream interpretation. She's also a shaman, does all kinds of amazing healings. So she's quite gifted. So, Tom, do you have a question you want to start with?
Well, first, before we do that, Jillian, do you have anything you want to say as far as your own introduction before we start firing rapid fire questions?
Um, I think I'm just here to help people understand and to progress on their healing journey.
Mhm.
I love getting to know people, what their story is, maybe give them a few tips on taking some more steps forward. And thanks for being here. Thanks for having me. Super
Glad you
excited to
came.
talk about dreams. I love dreams.
Mhm.
Seems like there are
Yeah.
a couple of different types of dreams, some that are dealing with things that are running around in your head, and some that are foreseeing the future. Um, are there more than those two types, or what types, how many types of dreams are there?
There's a few different types of dreams. The ones that are about the future are called prophetic dreams. They're not um they're not super common. Not everybody has prophetic dreams. If you are somebody who has prophetic dreams, you probably know. Um, Otherwise, all of the other dreams are usually about yourself. They're about your fears, and your spirituality, what you should be doing, what you're not doing, kind of all about yourself. Dreams represent some aspect of yourself always, unless it's prophetic.
And then sometimes there are things I don't have a word for that I call dreams, but aren't. It's as if I'm really someplace else, learning something almost like being in a school. Do you have a
Mhm.
label for that? I call it a dream, but I know it's not. But it happens when I'm sleeping.
So I like to call that a spirit taking me on a journey.
Okay. Yeah.
And it's happening in sleep time
Hmm.
because it's easier for you to go to that realm when you're asleep, but
Yes.
you're not dreaming per se. You're not in REM sleep.
Right. It's almost like sometimes I'm really almost conscious, almost lucid in those experiences.
Mhm.
Okay.
Exactly. Yeah.
All right. Where in dreams, I'm rarely lucid. They're just kind of goofy and have their own little
Correct. A
scenes that
lot of
they.
times dreams have interesting things happening.
Hmm.
There's things that wouldn't coexist together,
Hmm.
and the scene can rapidly change.
Yes. And in the
Yeah,
dream, it makes sense, but if you remember it, it makes no sense when you're awake.
exactly. Right.
Yeah.
And those are oftentimes symbols. Those
Hmm.
weird things are symbols, and then we have to interpret them. Yeah.
Right. Okay. All right. So, just to start off, I was talking with a friend the other day, and she has been having dreams about death, her own
Mhm.
death, receiving visits from loved ones who've crossed over. And she was kind of questioning. She's like, I'm not dying. I'm not ready to go yet. So why am I having these dreams? And I thought maybe you could address that because I don't know that death in a dream necessarily means death in a physical sense.
Right, Lori, it absolutely doesn't. Death in a dream is oftentimes similar to the death card in tarot, where something needs to fall away. You need to release some aspect of yourself so you can bring forth something else. And the dream usually has symbols about what needs to be let go. Um, so you might think about where you're at in the dream, the emotions that you're having, what else is going on. But yeah, it's not about death. Absolutely not. It's usually a negative aspect too about yourself that you need to release
Mhm.
so you can like step into some healing.
That makes perfect sense. I know, I don't know, a couple months ago, I had a series of dreams for, I don't know, a week where I dreamed about I was dying. And my interpretation was just that, okay, what is it that I'm looking at or dealing with or need to take a look at that no longer serves me? Like what needs to drop away?
Mhm.
Yeah, that makes total sense.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
What about recurring dreams? Some people, including me, have the same dreams over and over and over again.
Right.
That's a
So
big question.
so spirit will often give you the same dream until you get it, until you understand what it's about. It's trying to tell you something. So it's going to keep showing up and keep showing up and keep showing up until you understand what the lesson is, until you deal with the fear, or until you can get what the dream's trying to show you.
Oh, that makes sense.
Yeah, one interpretation might be, I'm wondering if I'm, uh, in my dreams traveling somewhere, doing something, and just in that same place all the time. Does that resonate with you at all?
If if there's different things happening all the time, yes, for sure. Oftentimes, our subconscious will pick up things that are familiar with us or things that make sense to us, and then wrap a message around that or a lesson around that. Unless it's something like Lori talked about, where she's actually going somewhere and um, spirits, it's not really a dream. Spirits
Mhm.
giving her downloads or lessons or giving her information.
So if I'm having, which I do, regular dreams that are recurring the same places and similar things that are going on, perhaps I'm sitting at the back of the class not paying attention and not getting the lesson. So how can I take that and try and clarify what the lesson is?
Well, that's where you look at the symbols and the place. So where are you? And how are you feeling about it? Is there something that you're avoiding? Are there colors? Are there numbers? What's familiar about it? So, do you remember some symbols or places about the dream? Like, do you know where it takes place?
There are probably 5 or 6 of mine that I can give you incredible detail of the location. And I go there
Mhm.
often and have for years. And in some of those cases, I'm wondering if those are ancient memories of some kind.
Hmm.
Could be, could be. Um,
I
I would
will
have to.
often have recurring dreams where I'm back in my childhood home and my mom's there, my two younger brothers are there, and a lot of times in the dreams we're all younger again, and it's where I grew up. And sometimes there are things going on, and sometimes I'm just standing there going, "Oh, I'm back here again," and realizing I'm back in my family home where I grew up, which wasn't always the happiest. And so when I'm having those dreams, I tend to ask myself, okay, what is it that from that part of my life do I still need to let go of? Would that be, and it's recurring, so would that be kind of an example of where you're pulling in or you're going back to those familiar places in order to maybe resolve something from your past or resolve something in this life that you need to take a look at?
Yes, it can be. The house is usually about your body,
Hmm.
and being a child is usually about you at that age. Having your mother there is either about your mother or about a mother figure or mothering yourself. It would be a little bit more important to know where in the house you were and what exactly was happening and how you felt about that.
Mhm.
Because different rooms in the house mean different things.
Interesting. The most recent one, I was in the living room of the house.
Were you sitting on the floor,
I was just standing in the middle of the room.
standing there?
Mhm.
Um, it feels like that was about your birth.
Hmm.
And there could be a lot of times when we have birth symbols, it's either telling us that we had a difficult birth or there's some spiritual aspect that we need to bring into our life now, and we brought it with us from our birth, like it came with us.
Hmm.
Something that we're not using.
Oh, that's interesting.
What do some of the other rooms mean, Jillian?
What does some of the other rooms mean? So let's see. Well, the roof is about being up, or the attic is about being up in your head. And the bathroom and the kitchen are usually about your digestive system. And let's see, being out in the yard can also be about your heart, especially if it's green, like in the grass. If you're in the dirt, like in a dirt area that's outside, that can be about your digestive system. So let's see what other rooms. Yeah, the living room is about your birth usually. The bedroom um, is about kind of your relationships. Relationships. I'm looking for my big house symbol here. Um, when we look at other parts of um, other things that are in the house, like the laundry room is about something that you need to remove. What do you need to cleanse from your system? Hopefully that helps. There's so many symbols that we don't always think about. But it's usually related to it's your body parts or your let's see. Bedroom can also be about your reproductive system and that you need to rest or meditate. The front door is also about your reproductive system. The stairs on a house, if you're going down the stairs, the dream's asking you to move into your heart. If you're going up the stairs, you're too much in your head. Windows, especially if they're really big windows, are about seeing in your eyes. It means that you're usually psychic. What's your view on the subject matter? There's wiring, like if there's wires in the walls or electrical parts, it's can be about your nervous system. you're standing at a transition area, like a landing that is about your own transition. You're transitioning into a new phase of your life. Hallways or narrow passageways are oftentimes about your birth. Like, think of like a uterus or birthing, you're being birthed. The fridge is your stomach. Being in the basement or downstairs is about your subconscious. What else? Back balcony usually means that you're something and you would have to look at the subject matter of the dream. Chimney is about your heart. Closet is also about your birth.
Wow.
Do you use a reference for those types of questions? Is there something you recommend to people?
Yeah, my favorite reference is How to Interpret Your Dreams and Discover Your Spiritual Gifts by Michael Sheridan.
Okay, we'll put a link to that in our comments.
Yeah, his whole interpretations are spiritual, and he talks about how you can figure out what your fears are, figure out what your gifts are, and how to start using them. And then I do a lot of channeling too to see what the message is.
Yeah. Dreams are just fascinating to me. I've always loved having, like, waking up and remembering my dreams because I always know there's something in there that must be important most of the time. So I love dream work, especially and just remembering. I don't always remember my dreams. So sometimes there are nights where I'm just gone. It's like I fall asleep and the next thing I know I wake up and there's literally nothing in between. And I always interpret that as I am gone somewhere, like I'm traveling as a soul and doing something other than dreaming, obviously, and then I'm not bringing it back into me again consciously. Would you say that that might be the case, or am I just out for the night and just my mind isn't remembering?
To me, honestly, it sounds like you're traveling, that you're not actually dreaming and just not remembering. Yeah. Now, if you were flying,
Had
like
those.
if you were flying, that's another really interesting one. A lot of people have that dream where they're flying or floating, and excuse me. That's also about your spiritual gifts, and you like you have the big picture, like you can see the bigger picture, you have higher perspective, right? So you're somebody that can sort of see that. It's about being psychic.
Yeah, I've off and on have had dreams about flying. And then a lot of times in the dream, I'll also start to fall, and then I wake up. So my next question, obviously, is so I've heard this story that, if you dream about dying in your dream or you dream about falling and hitting the ground and dying, then that's what's going to happen. Is that true?
No,
Good.
no, no. It's usually when you're falling, it's just about it. It's telling you to like look up, and it's about a fear of doing what the dream's asking you to do. So yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah. There's another really big symbol in dreams that talk about spirituality, and it's water. Having any sort of water in your dream is about your spiritual journey. Like if the water's really shallow, it means that it's asking you to expand and increase your spirituality. If it's huge ocean or a huge bay, that's an incredible dream because it means that you are expanding your spiritual life. If you're jumping into water, spirit's asking you to actually jump into your spirituality. A river is about getting into the flow of your spirituality. Tidal wave or really turbulent waves, really turbulent water is about emotional turmoil or turbulence in your spirituality. A waterfall is look to the spiritual source because that's a source of water. A lake or a pond is an enclosed body of water, same as a swimming pool.
Mhm.
So look to expand your spirituality. Where are you limiting it? What else? Rain is about your spiritual nature, so you'd have to look to other symbols in the dream. A leak actually is a little bit different. It means if there's a leak in your bathroom or a leak in the roof or something like that, or there's water running down the wall, it usually means that you're dehydrated.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
A
Jillian,
lot
what
of times
about the
people will have leak dreams after they've had a lot to drink the night before.
That would make sense.
what about the famous dream that almost everybody has, or maybe not? Maybe I'm just maybe it's me and I'm asking for a friend. How about I put it that way?
You're
Where
asking
you
for
show up to work or somewhere not fully clothed or you're naked or something like that. Is there? I think everybody
yeah,
has that dream.
yeah, being naked for sure. Um, being naked is about, it depends on how you feel in the dream. So if you are naked in the dream and you're really uncomfortable, you're like, I need some clothes, somebody find me something to put on. That means you are uncomfortable showing your true self. Being naked in the dream or taking your clothes off and feeling really good about it, feeling absolutely comfortable, means that you are comfortable in your own skin. You are comfortable with who you are. You are doing great. And the uncomfortableness is the dream telling you to start to be okay with your true self. Start showing your true colors. Start stepping into who you really are.
I think that's a
Yeah.
really common one that so many people have, and I think we can all
Yeah.
relate. Maybe at sometimes it is more common than other times when you're not feeling exactly the right way about yourself.
Mhm.
Yeah. Or you're uncomfortable, maybe with something that you're doing that's new and you're not ready to tell people about it, or you have a fear of judgment or fear of somebody thinking something bad about you.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So how do we know, how do we discern the difference between kind of just our unconscious processes at night and we have those dreams that are showing us from different ways and using symbols? How do we know the difference between those and when spirit is stepping in to really tell us something or guide us?
So we're always look at where the location is, always look at how you're feeling. And then when you look at all the symbols, take out the ones that are normal for you, like your normal environment, and look at the ones that are highlighted or the ones that you're really focused on or out of place. Um, that's where your focus should be. And if there's other people in the dream and they talk, really pay attention to what they're saying and what they look like. Your guides are going to show up. Your guides are going to show up as sometimes taller than you, sometimes standing above you, blonde hair or red hair, maybe wearing white. The other people of importance are going to show up dressed as somebody important, like a first responder, a police officer, a firefighter, Pay attention to what they're saying. They're going to be telling you the things. And or a doctor. Somebody who has a title is going to be somebody that you want to listen to.
Hmm.
And other people in the dream are going to be an aspect of yourself.
Mhm.
Mhm.
That makes total sense. Wow. Okay.
Sometimes there are visitations that you get, or maybe you think they are. It's just a dream about a person, could be a visitation. I describe it as some are in black and white and some are in vivid technicolor. And maybe my age shows by using that term. But what's the difference between the black and white and the technicolor?
I like to look at black and white as exactly that, black and white. So white, it can be very no reading between, like there's no read, you don't need to read between the lines. This is just it. But white is about perfection too, and black can be about fear. And if there's multiple colors in the dream and something about it is black and white, it can be about intolerance too. It can be like you're not seeing all the shades of gray. You kind of have to pick out whether the symbols are important to you. Are they different, or are they unique, or is it just basic? Like sometimes the black and white or the gray stuff isn't important, but if it's highlighted, if it's right in your view, or it keeps you've paid attention to it, then it has meaning.
Hmm.
Silver and gold are really important. Silver's about your intuition, gold's about spiritual healing. So if somebody gives you a necklace or a piece of jewelry and you put it on, pay attention to what the color is. Pay attention if you walk, like let's say you walk into a jewelry shop and you want to get you want to get a silver necklace, and the shop owner says, no, I have this one's better for you, and they want to give you a gold one. And you're like, well, I'm not really sure I want that one. And they're like, no, this is the one for you. And you're like, well, I really want the silver one. That is you saying, I'm not ready to step into my spiritual healing. And the shop owner is saying, you don't need the intuition one. You need the spiritual healing. That's what you're supposed to be doing. So sometimes things like that are going to show up. Pink is about love. It's about your birth. Red is going to be about your root chakra or passion, just like orange is going to be your sacral chakra or your career. Yellow, solar plexus feeling. So there's interchangeable symbols like that. And, green's heart, balance. Blue is going to be spirituality in your throat. Purple's up here, also means spiritual leadership or teacher, like something that you should be stepping into. Cream is a mixed color, so it's about tolerance. Gray means you're uncommitted, like shades of gray. Peach is about empathy, and guides often will have that color on too.
Interesting.
Oh, blacks are about fears. Did I say that one already? Yeah.
Okay. That would make sense.
Like
Do
oftentimes you'll
people,
have a black shadow, somebody chasing you, and maybe they're black. Like you can't really see, it's dark, and you just see this black shadow. That is your dream telling you to turn around and face your fears.
interesting. Do people generally dream in color? Because my feeling is kind of like what you were saying, Tom, is generally my run-of-the-mill dreams, I never pay attention to whether they're in color. I don't really remember that they're in color necessarily, but then there are those moments, some experiences I have at night where they're very much in color, and I always notice those because they're different than my normal dreaming time.
I think the dream is just telling you to pay attention to the color. That's when it's going to stand out, is when
That makes
it's
sense. Okay.
Something of importance.
Okay. That
Yeah.
makes sense. All right. Because I don't know if I actually dream in black and white. It's just that I don't notice it. Like I couldn't tell you if there were colors in the dream.
Right. They'll kind of be, it's almost like the dream is in monochrome, and then all of a sudden there's this red thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Mhm.
Yeah. Okay. So pay attention to the color when that happens.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Another thing that happens quite often is you might dream about someone living or dead. Um, and when you wake up, you feel like they were there, or maybe you don't even remember them when you first wake up. But later on in the day, maybe they come to mind. You go, "Oh, I just saw them." And
Mhm.
so in some cases, that might be a loved one. In some cases, it might be someone you're pretty much sure isn't trying to connect with you, at least from their perspective on this earth plane. How do you interpret those?
So if it definitely, if it's somebody that you know, it either, if they're here on this earth plane, there's some aspect of them that's in you, or they're just put there as a placeholder to kind of make you feel comfortable in the dream. Like it could be a normal scene, like they're part of this normal scene. Now, if it's a visitation from a loved one that's crossed over, um, they could be there just for comfort as well. They could be coming just to say hello. Hey, I'm around you. It makes you uncomfortable when I show up in real time. So I'm showing up in your dream time just to tell you here, I love you. They may be coming with a message. If they talk, pay attention. They're usually very supportive. Um, how did you feel about them being there? They may also be, like if it's your mother or your father or a father figure, or mother figure that's passed on, it may also be about you moving into that energy. You need to move into more of your feminine or masculine energy. You're a little bit off balance or something.
Mm. In the cases where it's not someone who has crossed over, it's a living person. How do you interpret those other than a visitation? And you know that if you, it's probably not a welcomed connection in most cases, but those do happen. How do you interpret those?
So if it's somebody that maybe you haven't spoken to in a long time and you're not real excited to see them, the dream may be telling you that there's some healing there that needs to be done. It doesn't necessarily mean that you need to contact them. Now, if it's prophetic, you're going to know. Like you will be like, okay, I need to call them right now. Something's going on, right? Like if there's something like that, you'll know. Otherwise, there probably is some healing that needs to be done on your own part.
Mhm.
And the rest of the dream will be telling you kind of what that healing is, or you'll know whether you need to let go of some hurts, work through some hurts. Um, that's how I would take that, especially if it's somebody that you don't want to talk to.
Mhm.
Uh-huh. You can have a conversation with them at a higher conscious level. It doesn't mean you need to actually see them face to face or pick up the phone.
Mhm.
When you say that, what do you mean by that? How would someone do that? Have a conversation with someone from that higher consciousness?
So I like to do that in meditation or in a journey where I kind of sit and I sit with myself and that person per se, and I have a conversation um, at a conscious level, but just with myself and their higher conscious. I have the conversation go the way that I need it to go. I say what I need to say. I allow them to say what they need to say, and we sort of push it out and get to a better space and have the outcome that I need, where I let go of maybe what I'm holding on to.
Mm-hmm. So it sounds like the best way is to do it in a meditation where you're sitting and you use visualization to, in a sense, sort of use your imagination and see them there with you and then have this conversation.
Right, right. I personally believe that energy has no bounds. Energy is just energy. And when I move my
Exactly.
energy, when I
Mhm.
shift how I'm feeling,
Mhm.
I'm kind of moving the energy around the whole situation.
Exactly. And because energy is energy, when we're we're always connected then to everybody. And so when we're having these thoughts or these conversations, if you will, at some higher consciousness level, they're also picking up that energy.
Right, right. And when you're when there's a lot of negative energy moving around,
Mm.
you can imagine how it keeps negative feelings and
Right.
doesn't really allow people to move into a better space.
Right. Right. So when you're having those conversations, perhaps clearing your negative energy, releasing that, working it through in some way, it releases you and also them.
Absolutely.
That's that's a very cool thing to do. Yeah.
Yeah.
Any other questions, Tom?
Oh, I can end it with a goofball question. And Lori, you would be disappointed if I didn't do that.
Absolutely, I would.
Okay, Jillian, I had a dream that I ate a giant marshmallow and I woke up, my pillow was gone.
It's one of his jokes.
All right.
They're so bad.
Well,
And thank you for being polite about it, Jillian.
if it was white, that means perfection. So there you have it.
Okay, good.
What if his pillow was red?
Well, red's about passion.
Hmm.
Maybe you're
Okay.
super passionate about marshmallows.
I've learned a lot. I thank you for your knowledge and your experience
Absolutely.
and for
Yeah.
passing it on to us.
So if someone
Oh, you're
wanted
very
to reach out
welcome.
to you to get some work done or have a channeling or a clearing, where would they reach out to you? What would be the best way to get in touch with you?
They can reach out to me through my website, which is goldenmeanscrystalreiki.com, or they can find me at awkwardlyzen.com on the partner page.
Excellent. All right. Thank you so much for being with us. This was such a delight.
Yeah, thanks for having me. This was great.
Yes, thanks. See you all next week, and we'll see what Spirit brings us next time. Oh, I know what Spirit's bringing us next time. Little teaser here, think about manifestation. Until next week, you guys. Bye.
Thanks.